Welcome everyone. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118 and Verizon Fios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Thursday, May 4th, 2023. The Board will meet to officially act upon the adoption of the 2023 to 2024 school year budget. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano. The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call.
Mr. Antono?
Present.
Ms. Jodry?
Present.
Ms. Lent? Here. Mr. Marquetta? Mr. Slade? Mr. Singh? Mr. Sulikowski?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here.
Mr. Giordano?
Here.
Quorum exists.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now begin the presentation of the 2023 to 2024 school year budget.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Giordano. Welcome to the public hearing to adopt the 2023-2024 budget for the Old Bridge Township School District. The outline for tonight's meeting will be as follows. Board members and the administrative team will be introduced. Mr. Cittadino and or Dr. Holker will discuss student activities, district accomplishments, and priorities. I will discuss appropriations, revenue, and taxes. Mr. Cittadino will do a final summary, and then we will open the meeting up for public comment. So first, I will introduce the members of the board. Mr. Salvatore Giordano is the president. Mr. Matthew Sulikowski is the vice president. Ms. Jennifer D'Antono is a board member. Ms. Marjorie Jodry is a board member. Ms. Lisa Lent, board member. Mr. Marquetta is absent. Mr. Singh is absent. Mr. Slade, board member, is here. And Mr. Weber is here. Superintendent is Mr. David Cittadino. The assistant superintendent is Dr. Kathy Holker. Dr. Tui is in the audience. He's also assistant superintendent. And I'm the business administrator and board secretary, Joseph Mara. Mr. Cittadino and Dr. Holker will now discuss district goals, student activities, district accomplishments, and budget priorities for the future.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing us, for those members of our community who are with us tonight as we go through our proposal for the 2023-24 school year budget. The budget begins with a glimpse of our Old Bridge students. These students are from our elementary and middle schools, and of course our students are the place to begin when you talk about a budget because they are the purpose as to why we are all here. We see our students in all of our schools working through STEM activities, social emotional learning activities, learning experiences that will prepare them for a strong future. And we see our students getting together for the volleyball extravaganza that happens through the elementary school, and even joining us on Old Bridge Day. Our Old Bridge High School students really exemplify the diversity of our community when they all come together from our 11 elementary schools and 2 middle schools. They take part in an abundance of activities in the arts, in the ROTC, in athletics and technology, our career programs such as CAD and woodworking, which we celebrated this year, and our students from diverse cultural backgrounds having the opportunity to be recognized and to be celebrated. Our schools are an example where every student can find their place in academics, athletics, and the arts. They either work as a team or they work as an individual going for their own excellence, and we can see that throughout our photos here. At the background, always in the background, wanting our students to be successful is really Team Old Bridge. Whether it's our incredible, dedicated staff here from Old Bridge Schools that make up everyone who get our students to school safely, to make sure they arrive to a clean and safe school, to a school where instruction can be proactive and lead them to new adventures, to administrators and teachers opening up the opportunity for our students to get a glimpse of their own personal habits, hobbies, and achievements. It comes down to that, and our partnerships with our PTAs, our parents, our families that make our Old Bridge team strong and our students successful. Dr. Hoker will now take us through a list of the 2022-2023 district accomplishments.
Thank you and good evening. We have collaboratively developed and approved the 2023-28 district strategic plan. We have revised our administrator professional development teams to reflect the goals of this strategic plan. They include mental health, DEI, communication, professional development, and executive functioning. We have offered a series of family education opportunities addressing internet safety, college planning, drug awareness, and raising resilient children. We have maintained recognition as national schools and a national district of character. We have nationally and state recognized PTAs. We have completed in June 2023, we will complete the Carl Sandburg Learning Lab with Esports Arena. We have established the first esports team at Carl Sandburg Middle School. The winter season made it to the state championship, and the spring season is in the playoffs. We have continued district participation in Central Jersey program for the recruitment of diverse educators, which is CJ Pride. We've participated in 5 job fairs reaching diverse candidates globally, utilized a recruitment flyer showcasing our Old Bridge strengths, providing potential candidates with highlights and opportunities for growth. We broadcast employment opportunities through college career counselors and university education contacts. We have increased the professional development opportunities for new staff with an emphasis on professional requirements, inclusivity, student motivation, addressing challenging behaviors, and effective communication. We have partnered with the New Jersey Traumatic Loss Coalition, NJPSA, and Effective School Solutions to provide mental health and SEL professional resources for staff, students, and parents. We have received the NJCIE Technical Assistance Grant for middle school and high school. George Scott has provided Traumatic Loss Coalition training for administrators and staff. We've provided threat assessment training for all administrators and mental health professionals. The implementation of Lifted, an online data collection for ABA classes. The implementation of data integration specialists, grades K through 12. Comprehensive guidance staff trainings for grades K through 8. The introduction of lively letters and Project Read K-2 district-wide. We've trained IXL trainers throughout the district to turnkey training, provide coaching, and continued professional development. We have provided multiple supplemental educational programs offered grades K through 12 for struggling learners. implemented creative curriculum for all district preschool programs, developed new curriculum guides for ELA, social studies, and select CTE courses. We've updated the elementary standard-based report cards for the 22-23 school year based on teacher input. We've identified multiple long-term curriculum resources, including Wonders ELA for kindergarten through grade 5, Study Sync ELA for grades 6 through 8, McGraw-Hill Social Studies Civics for grades 6 through 11, and McGraw-Hill High School Mathematics. The Seal of Biliteracy award was awarded to 22 12th grade students, recognizing biliteracy in Chinese, French, Spanish, German, Italian, as well as Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, and Hindi. The Old Bridge High School World Language Honor Society inducted over 50 students this year, encompassing all 5 world languages. Old Bridge Middle School's Junior World Language Honor Society inducted 150 students in all 5 world languages. The Old Bridge World Ambassador programs resume with French and German exchange students. Old Bridge High School French and German AP courses offered additional College Board community service credit hours. ELL, Emergent, and Select courses were offered, and talking points and pocket translators and e-translation services for families and staff district-wide was implemented. The Old Bridge High School Indoor Percussion was promoted to world-class division for WGI World Championships at Dayton, Ohio. Only 29 schools in the nation compete at this level. New Jersey Select Regions Band, 3 Old Bridge students selected to perform in New Jersey State Bands and Orchestra: Dylan Weiss, Andrew Holgan, and Stephen Franzese. Old Bridge Township Cultural Arts Committee and Old Bridge Township Public Schools Art Department presented the Winter Weekend Showcase, which was a collaboration between the Mayor's Office and schools to showcase and honor student artwork from K through 12. The Quaver Interactive Music Platform K through 5 music classes were fully technology integration. Elementary jazz band and rock band were offered at select elementary schools, and the music production new Old Bridge High School course for 2023-24 school year will be offered in September 2023. Fall athletics. Boys soccer, Red Division champions and conference champions. Girls soccer took 3rd place in the Red Division. Cheerleading took 2nd place in the game day competition. Boys cross country took 7th in the GMC championships. Girls cross country took 7th in the GMC championships. Girls tennis took 6th in the GMC championships. Football were Red Division champions. Girls volleyball were Red Division champions, conference champions, and Group 4 state sectional champions. Field hockey were White Division champions. 31 athletes made the all-division or all-conference team in the fall season. Coach Chris McGrath, Coach Andrew Hopman, and Coach Brittany Fuentes were named Coach of the Year in their division or conference. In winter athletics, cheerleading, GMC Red Division champions in traditional routine. NJCDCA state champions in both game day and traditional routine competitions. Wrestling took 2nd place in the GMC championships. I hope I have the names stated correctly. Tyler Saggy placed 4th in the NJSIAA state tournament, and Logan Roman won the NJSIAA state tournament in their respective weight classes. Boys winter track, 3rd place in the GMC Relay Championship, and girls winter track were 4th place in the GMC Relay Championships. Girls bowling, GMC Conference and Division champions. 29 athletes made the all-division or all-conference team in the winter season. Coach John Post and Teresa Fischetti were named Coach of the Year in their division or conference. Spring athletics thus far. Girls lacrosse, currently in first place in the red division and looking to be the #1 seed in the county tournament. Boys volleyball, currently 15-0 and are looking to win their 5th straight New Jersey championship. And baseball, currently in first place in the red division and looking to be the #1 seed in the county tournament. I now turn it back over to Mr. Cittadino.
Thank you, Dr. Hoker. And that is quite an accomplishment and quite an extensive list of accomplishments for one school year. And again, I reiterate, it's not possible without a tremendous collaboration and partnership with our students, our educators / coaches, their families, and our board members. The support of the board is an incredible part of that, and in some ways it begins tonight with our budget. There may be differences in opinions on the board, but what helps us the most and what makes our school district so successful year after year is the board coming together and bringing the fabric of our community together, and how that translates into an educational product that makes our students so very successful. This budget for the 23-24 school year, number one, again, is the children learning in a safe and healthy environment. It's always our priority. The ability to expand our multiple learning platforms as needed with equipment, software, professional development, and instructional coaching. The completion of our learning labs at Salk, the GNC, / Ellen McDermott Grade 9 Center, Albridge High School by the fall of 2023. To establish equitable competitive esports opportunities for secondary level. Again, this levels the playing ground and gives all students the ability to perform. Maintain successful programs while continuing to deal with our S2 cuts and Chapter 44 fiscal realities. To expand our clinical and therapeutic supports for all of our students at risk. Enhance our mental health supports. Increase supports for our new education professionals and support staff through their mentor programs and professional opportunities. And to meet the educational, social, emotional, and physical needs of each and every student child. Mr. Mara.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. On to the budget. The first slide that relates specifically to the financial budget for the district is called the appropriations schedule. On this slide, I've summarized the budget into 7 different categories. Overall, the district is budgeting a 7.15% increase in spending. Last year, we decreased spending by 2%. Program costs, the first on the list we will discuss last because it is the most detailed item. I'll give a description of what is contained in each particular line item. The employee benefits line, which is 20.41% of the budget, contains costs for health, prescription, dental, and vision insurance. Additionally, workers' comp insurance, pension costs, payroll taxes, and other employee benefits are included there. The projected increase is approximately 13%. The largest component is healthcare premiums, which are up 15.7%. Statutory changes from Chapter 44 to employee benefit contributions pass a substantial burden of that increased cost to the district. Dental and vision insurance premiums are being renewed at 5 to 6% with 5 to 6% increases. The next line item, maintenance and operation, which is 10.79% of the budget, contains costs for all required maintenance, snow removal, custodial services, security, and energy costs. The next line, transportation. The transportation line is 7.79% of the budget. Contains costs for the salaries to operate a fleet of approximately 50 buses, contracted services with outside bus providers. They provide daily busing for our students, and we transport approximately 8,500 students daily to and from school. It also includes fuel costs. It includes maintenance of all the buses, the terminal operations, and the administration of the entire operation. Costs here are significantly higher as a result of increased fuel charges, bus driver shortages, and contractor bid proposals. The next line, the administrative cost line, is 5.93% of the budget, and it contains the cost of the staffing of the main offices of all the schools. That's the school principals and their secretaries, the superintendent's office, the business office, and all district-wide technology. The tuition cost line, which is 2.66% of the budget, contains costs for tuition of out-of-district private placements and tuition for students that attend vocational schools. And the capital outlay line is 0.4% of the budget and contains costs for facilities upgrades, the SDA assessment for a referendum that was done in early 2000, and a mandated transfer of interest charges for capital reserve funds. Now, going back to the program cost line, this represents 52% of the district costs, or $83 million. There is a 7% overall increase, principally due to the return of professional services and related services to the general fund, which were being funded for the last 2 years with the ESSER grant, and also collective bargaining increases. More specifically, each line item here includes the costs for staff, supplies, textbooks, and software licenses. The special ed line are the costs for all special ed programs, and those programs are learning and language disabilities program, a behavioral disabilities program, a multiple disabilities program, a resource room program, an autism program, a preschool disabled program, which is half day, and a preschool disabled program, which is also full day. We have approximately 38 academic support staff members. We have approximately 12 bilingual staff members. To support our programs, we have certain district-wide services. We have attendance officers. We have approximately 25 nurses in the district. We have approximately 15 speech specialists in the district. We provide extraordinary and related services for students who need them. We have approximately 36 guidance counselors and approximately 33 child study team members. Presently, we have about 12 supervisors who provide improvement of instruction. We do media services for our high school students. We provide professional development for all our staff, and that is a brief description of what's contained in that $83 million. The next slide, which is the capital outlay slide, is a summary of the capital expenditures included in the 23-24 budget. As was already mentioned, that the learning labs in Old Bridge High School, Carl Sandburg Middle School, and Salk will be completed in 23-24. We will also be completing window upgrades at the McDivitt Elementary School, and the district has applied for numerous grants for facilities upgrades. Some examples are HVAC upgrades, more window replacements, playground upgrades at all our elementary schools, but we did not budget for them because we did apply for grants for all of these projects, which, if awarded, will be funded by the state at 40%. Once they are awarded, a board resolution transferring funds from capital reserve to cover the district portion of those projects only can be done by board resolution at a particular board meeting. The next two items, SDA assessment for the referendum done in 2000 and from reserve counts. These are mandatory payments that must be made to the state. Next slide, CJ. The next slide is just a pie presentation of the budget, where you can see that 52% of the costs of the districts are for programs, 20% employee benefits, 19% for maintenance and transportation. That's 91% of the cost for the district. Unusual items in the appropriations. The budget maintains, in the world that we live in, where we continue to get budget cuts, we maintain all existing instructional programs, maintenance and security protocols, despite all these increases. The net health premium cost increases in 22-23 and 23-24, projected significant increases in transportation costs, and the shifting of funding of professional and related services from ESSER funding to the general fund. On the revenue page, the unusual items there, first and foremost, is that there was a state aid reduction for 23-24 of $2,008,076. In 22-23, that reduction was $3,350,000. We are providing $10,648,548 from district reserves. In 22-23, that number was $7,611,889. What happened here is the state, for the 2 COVID years, was allowing the districts to maintain 4% in unrestricted fund balance, which is basically the savings account. They reduced that in 23-24 to 2%, so we have to give that money back to the taxpayers in the form of taxpayer relief. That's why that number has increased so significantly. And just to understand what reserves are, the reserves are a result of prior year unbudgeted revenue received or unspent appropriations that exceeded the allowable percentage reserves of the district's annual percentages. The next item, we will be transferring $644,432 from capital reserve to cover the cost of the projects that I mentioned, the labs and the window project at McDivitt and the mandatory assessments. We also will be transferring $3,430,664 from maintenance reserve to cover all required maintenance projects. And we do have a $500,000 lease, a $500,000 per year lease agreement for one of our facilities. And since the budget was approved, was submitted to the state in the middle of March, the state notified our district, and our district is considered an S2 district, which continues to receive cuts each year, that there will be supplemental stabilization aid provided to the district next year in the amount of $1,325,000 to offset cuts that were included in the budget. The way this is funded is it's supplemental money to the budget that's been approved. It's not to be used. What we were required to do was to submit to the state a schedule of how we were to use these funds. We have not received the funds yet. They have not approved the use of the funds yet. We expect that to happen shortly. But what will happen is once we do receive the funds and we do receive the approval to utilize them, they will be added to the budget during the 23-24 year. So the only place they appear in this budget is not in the revenue or appropriations section, but they appear as a deposit into the fund balance account that we have, basically the savings account. And then because of the significant, we spend approximately $28 million a year on health benefits. The increase of 15.7% with the health care for the medical costs resulted in our ability to go above the 2% tax levy cap by $2,875,000. as a result of those increased costs. That is allowable and does not require voter approval. Okay, now to the revenue side again. The first item on the general fund revenue page is called budgeted fund balance. So when a district approves its budget, the budget is a tool to manage the district finances, and it contains numerous estimates for revenue and expenditures. If the revenues received exceed the revenues budgeted, that excess revenue goes into fund balance or the savings account. If actual expenses that are budgeted are less than what was appropriated, then that unspent appropriation goes into fund balance or the savings account. So you have two ways to get money in there: revenue that was not budgeted, that's more than what you expected, and expenditures that you budgeted and you did not spend that money. It goes into fund balance in the form of a savings account. The district may maintain in that account 2% of the prior year's expenditures. This is called unrestricted fund balance. Anything over that amount has to be either transferred to capital reserve, maintenance reserve, or emergency reserve by board resolution in June of each year. If it is not transferred to one of those reserve accounts, it's returned to the taxpayer in the form of taxpayer relief or revenue, and it's in the budgeted fund balance account. It becomes a revenue item in the subsequent year. The reserve line are the withdrawals from the restricted reserve accounts to fund this year's projects, the capital reserve and maintenance reserve. The local tax levy line is the assessment to the local taxpayers, and this proposed budget contains a 4.63% increase, of which 2% of the 4.6% is mandated by state statute. We have no choice. We have to go to 2% this year. And the additional 2.63% above the 2% is the result of the healthcare premium cost automatic cap adjustment. However, according to the flawed, quote-unquote, flawed state aid formula, the local taxpayer in Old Bridge should be paying $130,989,000 as the local tax levy, which is $16 million less than what our tax levy is. So the state is saying the local taxpayer in Old Bridge Township should be paying $130 million, and even with this 4% increase, we'll only be paying $114 million. This is why I say the state aid formula is flawed. The state aid line has decreased by 6.95%, or $2,008,076. The state has and will continue to drastically reduce our state aid for the foreseeable future. For 2023 and 2024, the state aid is approximately $26.9 million, and the formula indicates that this year that it should only be $26.3 million. As long as the formula calculates that we are receiving too much state aid and the tax levy is too low, we should expect unpredictable state aid reductions in the future. You may have heard the term S2 district, and any district with this scenario is considered an S2 district and is subject to unpredictable state aid reductions. The other state aid line is extraordinary aid for special needs students. This aid is not guaranteed. However, state guidance recommends that S2 districts that are losing state aid use this revenue line to cover a portion of the reduction in the state aid if necessary, and it is necessary for 23-24, and we are budgeting the maximum amount that we expect for extraordinary aid in 23-24. We've never done that before. The other revenue line is any other revenue that cannot be categorized in any of the above categories. Examples are lease income, interest income, facilities fees, cell tower revenue, tuition revenue, and refund from prior year's purchase orders. The lease of one of our facilities is part of that also. The next slide is the 2023-2024 tax rate calculation. This slide presents information necessary to calculate the tax rate and the impact on the average homeowner. There are 3 points here to discuss. First one is the ratables in the township increased by $62,159,265 last year. The local tax levy will increase by 4.63% to $114,246,633 to support the proposed budget, a portion of which is mandated by the state, and the additional amount is allowable as a result of healthcare cost increases. And the cost to the average homeowner with an assessed value of $154,578 is $71.10 per year, or $5.93 per month. Once this budget is approved, a user-friendly budget and this presentation will be posted on the district website shortly thereafter. Thank you very much for that lengthy presentation, and I will send it back to Mr. Cittadino.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. So in summary, the proposed budget for the 23-24 school year supports all of our educational programs despite continuing cuts in state aid. It supports a healthy learning environment across all schools, provides funding to ensure all curriculum and resources are aligned with all state standards and executive orders. It supports the tenets of the community-driven Bridge to 2028 strategic plan. It maintains technology that is necessary to support the changing landscape of student learning, provides academic, social, emotional support mechanisms for all learners regardless of their talents and or abilities. And this budget reflects the mandatory requirements of the S2 legislation and locally generated revenue streams. Thank you everyone for your patience and listening as we go through the 23-24 budget proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino, Dr. Hoker, and Mr. Mara. We will now open the meeting to hearing of the residents on agenda items only. Seeing none, we will move on to the adoption of the 2023 to 2024 school year budget. Can I have a motion?
How about comments from the board?
Motion on second.
Yeah,
first.
motion second.
Okay.
Slater moved.
D'Antuono will second.
Discussion? Yep, discussion.
Okay, sitting through, I guess, around 15, 16 of these budget hearings, and I believe I voted yes on all of them, This one I'm going to vote no on, for the simple reason, I guess around 3-4 budgets ago, I proposed a program for the special needs students and kids at risk over here. It was a summer program where we were supposed to hire somebody to work with about a dozen kids. It was placed on the books, placed on a budget. It was a unanimous vote by the board, and the program never went into effect. I don't know what happened there. But I can't support this because of that particular reason. The youngsters lost 2 years of work, and these are kids that really need this type of work. Thank you. And I will bring it up at the next curriculum meeting.
Joe, I just had a quick question. On the reserve withdrawals, the proposed $4 million withdrawal, that's for anticipation of what? On slide 24.
Yeah, the reserve withdrawals are withdrawals for from capital reserve and capital reserve for the $644,000 worth of projects, and $4 million for required maintenance from maintenance reserve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In the fifth year of having state aid reduced. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and that started in the year 1819, I believe, not 1819, 2018, 2019.
It actually started in 2018, 2019, where the budget was approved by the state, and then on July 7th, they advised us that they were giving us $1 million less than what
Yes.
what we had budgeted for.
And then subsequently, we've gotten reductions consistently up to this year.
Yeah, I did a quick calculation today. So we've been saying that we lost $18 million over this period. However, prior to S2 legislation, all districts were held harmless year after year with the amount of state aid that they were receiving. And when this started with us, we were actually receiving $45 million in state aid, not $44 million. And the way this has turned around is districts that before, well, whatever the case. So if that policy of holding us harmless would have stayed in place, we would have continued to receive $45 million a year. And we would have, during this 5-year period, we would have received $271 million of state aid. As a result of S2 legislation, we only received $213 million of state aid. So the reality is, by changing the law and removing the hold harmless rule that every district was held to prior to that, we effectively lost $57 million in the last 5 years.
And with 2 more to go.
Pardon?
With 2 more years to go.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because they didn't want people to believe that it was, you know, that we've done so well because we're losing $16 million or so when we've really lost a lot more. Thank you.
Okay, I would just like to say something real quickly. This was tentatively approved months ago, and we knew the state was going to screw us, and I asked everyone multiple times to email me if they had any objections or any complaints at least, and I got no emails against it, no complaints, and as you all saw, no one spoke out against the budget tonight. So for me, I have to vote yes this year, and thank you. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
No.
Mr. Weber?
Have to, but I'll vote yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
The 23-24 budget passes, and I thank all of you, whether yes or no.
We'll be moving on to hearing of the residents on any school district issue. Okay, seeing none. Any other comments? There's really no old business or new business, but if anyone else has anything to say, they could do so now. Okay, hearing none. We will be going to executive session for personnel and negotiation items, and we will adjourn from there. Can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Jodry will second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The board will go into executive session at 7:43. Thank you and have a good night.